I'm very excited to introduce you guys to Smarty Years Learning Online, a data-driven library of learning and therapeutic activities for speech, language, literacy, and communication skills. The same games and activities that you are familiar with from Smarty Years on an iPad, now available on any device. And today I'm going to showcase the Smarty Years online platform. Let's go ahead and get started. When I click on login, the very first thing that I get to do is add a new student. The reason being is the platform will manage students' progress as you use Smarty Years Learning Online. So the very first thing I'm going to do here is create a profile of a student. Then we get to select an area of need. And you will see here that a lot of these areas of need are focusing on speech, language, literacy, and communication skills. We have expressive language, fact, and opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and select that this child is needing support with speech and language, expressive language. Now, since this is an organization profile, I can share this child's profile with everybody within the school, within the organization that is supporting this child's learning goals. I am the SLP in charge, but I can share this with a speech-language-pathologist assistant. Or I can also share with the special education teacher. Then I get to select the school or the building where this child is located and receiving services, the grade for the student, the year of birth, the gender. And here's a fun thing. You also get to select the dialect and if the child speaks a second language. If that child has a second language, such as Spanish, which is really popular and common in Texas, then you also, if that is the child's primary language, that might also be the service, the language of delivery. So I'm going to go ahead and create this profile. One fun thing that kids love to do is adjust their avatar. They can select their clothing they're going to wear. And this can be a moment and an intervention time that you can have with the student where they get to customize their own avatar. Then we click on Create User. Another part within Smarty Years Online is the ability to add goals for each child. So if the child already has an individualized education plan or IEP, you can go ahead and enter that custom goal here based on the areas that the child is receiving intervention. If it is a language, expressive language goal, you select the goal area, you enter the goal that you're utilizing for that student so that you can keep track of that. In this case, let's imagine that we're going to use one of our goals from our goal bank. And I'm going to just select a couple language goals here. As you can see, the name of the child automatically got added to the profile. Then we're going to click ahead and continue. Then we select the baseline accuracy and the target accuracy, meaning where is this child currently in using basic descriptor words to describe pictures. They are probably doing this within 30% accuracy if you have measured. And we want to make sure that they're at least 80% accurate. And you want them to do this independently. Now for some of the other skills, you go ahead and you mark your target and baseline. And I'm going to go ahead and do this for all of the other goals that I have assigned for this student. And save. Now I can see that this student has 3 active goals, and now it's time for us to do the intervention. Let's click on Play Games. Now I'm going to select my student. I'm going to select Isla and Angelo and click Start. Look at all of the different games available on Smarty Years Online. You can see here the main area for critical thinking, literacy, early language. And for every one of these categories, you can click Next to see more activities. I'm going to go ahead and show some of the other areas that are smaller within subcategories of larger categories. So for example, we have here figurative language, which is a part of expressive language and receptive language. Let's take a look at our articulation and phonology games. Articulation flashcard is a popular game. You have your target image.
Walrus.
You have video.
Walrus. Refrigerator. Weatherman.
Now, we have phrase.
The weatherman pointed.
And sentence level. Notice here that Isla is selected and she's working on the TH sound. Now we know this because if I click on the settings button for Isla, I can see that Isla already mastered these two sounds and this other sound here. Now she's working on these three other sounds. Smarty Ears Online will remember the target sounds that you're currently working on with this child. If at some point she goes and masters that sound, you can click on it again to have it mastered before going to play it again. Now, whenever it's time for you to track the data, you can track the data by clicking on the correct. If you set that target sound in the sentence level correctly, you click on the C. If you was an approximation, click on the A, and it would go to the next. Now, if you set the word colors incorrectly, you click on the wrong. You can do the same thing using a keyboard. Now that Isla has taken her turn, as we know, often in schools, we are doing a group session. So it's time for me to select Angelo. Notice that Angelo has a target
Televisión.
in Spanish.
Banana.
The reason for that is if we click on this target icon, you can see that Angelo is a child working on his articulation and phonology skills. And we have the target goals for this child right here. And you can see that it is a bilingual student that speaks Spanish. The program automatically gives him the target words in the language that he is needing to practice. We can also switch back and forth for the student in both English and Spanish. Look at all of the sounds in Spanish that he has mastered, and we can select the sounds that Angelo is working on.
Chacal.
There are also video models for every single video in Spanish. Now, let me show you something for early language. If I click on early language, we have some really fun games for children that are just learning to practice their language, such as core vocabulary. We can get them to drag the words and make their very first phrases.
Be nice. Be nice. Thank you.
Since we're here, let's talk about settings. If I click on the settings button for this game, notice that you have options that are specifically designed for this game. If I want to turn off color shape cues, and now the child no longer has the yellow and the green cues for playing this game. These are things that you can modify, and the settings are specific for each game. So for example, if I show you something for social communication for older students, Social Quest. The child using Social Quest is going to practice social communication in different places within their community, home, and school. This game alone has over 2,000 questions. Let's play it.
You overhear your sister say to a friend, "I'm going to ditch school tomorrow." What could you say next?
Where are you going? You could get in trouble. It's not worth it. I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Here, there's always two correct answers. You can ask Isla to find both correct answers or get her to just select one or the other. This is teaching these students flexible thinking.
You're doing your homework on your bed and start to feel sleepy. You know you should probably get up and sit at a desk or table. Predict what might happen if you...
Now, I have shown you 3 different games in 3 different areas. Did you notice how unique and different they are? What Smarty Online is doing on the back end for you is tracking all this data automatically. If I click on progress report for this student, Look at these beautiful graphs that get automatically generated for you, for the child, for the caregiver, and everyone in the team. Speech production skills, receptive and expressive language, vocabulary, grammar, social communication, phonological awareness, and literacy. Now take a look at all of the different times this child has received an intervention, and all the data is here. And I can take a look, for example, something called for language targeting adjectives. If I click on details, I get an overview of specific details of this child's vocabulary broken down by subcategories. This is something that it's nearly impossible for an educator to do on the fly. Here, this can support guidance on the next steps for intervention. I can also assign a particular goal relating to that activity so that I know that during this session, we worked on this activity to meet this IEP goal. Now, if I go back to student information, notice that this child's profile is being shared with her special education teacher. The special education teacher also has access to Smarty Years Online. When she logs in and goes to play a game, she has access to her classroom students that were edited by her or shared with her from another person that is supporting that child, which could be a dyslexia instructor, a speech-language pathologist, or even an inclusion teacher. Every person involved in that child's life, which includes the family, can have access to Smarty Years Online. And this is where I want to introduce you to the home practice. Within Smarty Years, we strongly believe that children and family should be able to be active participants in their learning objectives. Educators can assign activities to the families from this portal, assign frequency of practice, and that becomes the child's plan for home practice, for generalization, and also for making sure that that child is reaching their learning goals. Within the collaborators section, you're able to adjust which parts each collaborator can access. Can they delete the student, edit the student, view goals, view and edit notes? These are things that are fully customizable within Smarty Years Learning. If you guys want to know more about Smarty Years Learning, we offer weekly demos, also personalized demos to organizations. Just reach out to us and we'll be happy to contact you with one of our sales associates.